What about the opposite end of everything? The biggest fantasy faller from training camp so far. Barrett, you got a clear-cut like faller that you just were kind of into and now you're just off your radar type of thing? Or anybody that you think's a big faller from camp?
I don't know. I got to be honest with you. I'm not really good off the cuff. No one's really coming to mind. I know Jay Sternberger was one of your guys, Graham. He's had a real quiet camp.
I was gonna say Sternberger for sure. Keyshawn Vaughn. He was on obviously was on the COVID list. So he was super behind from the get go. So was Sternberger too, actually. Both were on the COVID list, but I mean Vaughn has been completely dead. Anthony McFarland's another good one too. I have literally not seen a single blurb about McFarland from any of the Steelers beat writers. Like I have no idea how he's been in camp. So the biggest ones though for me are the biggest one for sure is Vaughn. I mean, it sounds like he might open their year as their number 4 behind even Ogunbowale. So Vaughn is the pretty easy answer.
Yeah, that was my pick too. I mean, obviously Fournette as well with the release.
That's low-hanging fruit, though, man. We can't kick a man while he's down.
Exactly. But less low-hanging fruit, one that I wrote about today, and I don't know if you guys will agree or not, because I used to love this guy. And it's not that he's fallen off my board, but Melvin Gordon was somebody I was targeting in round 3, wanted him every single time as that third bell cow if I could get him. And now, if I'm not looking to get him really, unless it falls like mid-late round 4, round 5, I'm just not going out of my way for him anymore. Are you guys buying the rib injury, Lindsey playing well, the altitude stuff, or am I overreacting by kind of putting this guy on my fade list right now?
Yeah, so I want to take this one just because he was a guy I wrote up in the bell cow report, was like massively high on. I kind of mixed exposure, but I definitely had way more Melvin Gordon than James Conner. And if I could go back in time and do that over, I would do that over. My reasoning was it was multifaceted. 1, they gave him bell cow money. 2, Pat Shurmur has bell cow history, even with guys like Trent Richardson and Peyton Hillis and even bigger scrubs. Melvin Gordon has a bell cow history. And then I thought this was one of those things where I just got the news that other people are missing, where Tom Pelissero said this. Ian Rappaport said this on his podcast where he said, listen, they signed him to be their bell cow running back. A lot of people don't realize that. They think it's going to split with Philip Lindsay. That's not the case. They want him to be their bell cow. They've actually been looking for a bell cow for some time. They were down on Philip Lindsay because X, Y, and Z. And I talked to a Denver beat writer, and he said, yes, that's exactly the case. It would take Melvin Gordon really struggling in camp and Philip Lindsay really blowing everyone away. And then I talked to that beat writer a couple of weeks ago, and he was like, yeah, never mind. Have those guys really close to each other. Lindsay's looked incredible. They're down on Melvin Gordon because he's looked like shit and blah, blah, blah. I mean, it definitely could still shake. He's still going to get the majority of the red zone work, the majority of the targets, probably majority of the snaps. But bell cow, real true bell cow role, I don't know anymore. I'm backing off just because I have a ton of exposure. But mid round 4, that's sort of I get it. But yeah, he's definitely a guy who's disappointed me for sure.
What do you think, Graham? Yeah.
You see that running back sign a big contract, and then maybe they show up to camp a little fat. They're
exactly,
especially amidst COVID.
He's put on that COVID weight. I can sympathize with that. I mean, I put on some COVID weight too myself. I don't see it, but no, Nick, you made a good point. I think it was last night. You said he's had trouble acclimating to the altitude. It's like, dude, you've had months to get used to that. Why haven't you been there in doing that? The only thing I keep coming back to is the Broncos last year told us what they wanted. I always fade coach speak, for the 9 times out of 10. And it goes back to what we were talking about with Arians, but I'm always trying to fade coach speak. And the Broncos showed last year what they wanted. In their first 9 games last year, Royce Freeman outsnapped Philip Lindsay, straight up outsnapped him. He was on the field more often, got more carries. then Lindsey. I mean, it ended up being in terms of touches like pretty even because Lindsey had a couple more receptions, but whatever. Like Royce Freeman outsnapped him. Like the Broncos they do not view Lindsey as a number one back, and same line of thinking. You don't give a running back $8 million a year to not make him your bell cow. Pat Shurmur has also been a coach, and I know Scott's done a little bit of work on this, but Pat Shurmur has always been a coach too that gives his lead runner a ton of carries. Like even back when like he's obviously had a lot of great talents to work with, right? I mean, he's had with Sean McCoy back with the Eagles. Even before that, I mean, he's definitely like played with, he's had Saquon Barkley. Like he's had a lot of great running backs, but I mean, he gave Peyton Hillis like 70%, 65% of the Browns carries before he got hurt in 2011. Like the only two times he's really gone with the true committee was with the Vikings in 2017. He had Murray and Jerick McKinnon. And
Peterson got hurt in like week 2, right?
Yeah. Peterson got hurt. Well, actually, Peterson got hurt that year, and then the year before that was the year before he got suspended in 2016. Yeah, he got hurt that year in 2017. So really, the only time he's ever been forced to go with a full blown committee and not give his lead runner like 60, 65, 70% of the team's carries is that Vikings year, and then the year with the Browns where Peyton Hillis got hurt. I still think that he's probably the best bet, like to be on the field and in passing down situations, and especially in the red zone. And I guess that's what really matters most for our purposes. But like Scott, I backed off on Gordon. I wish I could convert a lot of my third round Gordon to Connor or more A-Rob.
Yeah, 100%. That's the bigger regret too, is the receivers, like you said, A-Rob, Thielen, like these 140 target beasts. That's just like, why did I pass up on those alphas for this guy that might not be a bell cow here? Next question.
I hope he's a league winner now.
What's that?
I hope he's going to be a league winner now.
Yeah, 20 touchdowns for Melvin Gordon. Like Lindsey doesn't even touch the field. Right, exactly.